How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we're going over the fastest ways to level your character up to max level in New World Aeternum, so you can jump into the endgame content as soon as possible. But first, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps out massively. Now, let's get into it. With the console launch going down, I know a lot of new faces will be making their way onto the island of Aeternum, and I'm sure a lot of you are interested in getting maxed out as soon as possible, so you can get into that sweet endgame content. And luckily for you, New World leveling has gotten significantly easier and more enjoyable since its previous launch, so your upcoming grind isn't going to be too difficult. In this video, I'll go over the fastest ways to level, as well as giving you some tips and tricks to squeeze every little bit of XP out of your grind. Hopefully these tips can help you out in your leveling process, whether you're a hardcore speedrunner or a casual player that's just leveling up at their own pace. There's no right way to play New World, so just go about things in the way you get the most enjoyment out of. But let's get started by quickly going over what's probably the fastest way to level, but also the most inconvenient as well, and that's by being carried through trials or mutated expeditions. Trials are particularly good. This will see you getting levels at crazy speeds, but it does require you to have either friends who are good enough to carry you through this content being a man down, or for you to pay carry groups to do this for you. Especially on a newer server, where there's not many maxed out characters yet, this might not be an option that's available to you, or it might be extremely expensive. But if you're coming to the game a bit later on, you can look into this. It's also a very AFK friendly way to level, as you just have to keep coming back to the game once the trial's over, re-entering it, and sitting AFK until the group takes down the boss. This is because at the lower levels, you won't do any real damage to the trial boss anyway, so you might as well just sit AFK. This does require tuning orbs though, to start, so it's not a very cheap method, and it requires others to do it, so not solo friendly either. But the next method is also very efficient, and very solo friendly as well, and that's simply main story questing. It's very basic, and very obvious, but like with most MMOs, simply following the main story quest the game puts you on will see you racking up tons of XP in short periods of time. As you can see, main story quests give significant XP drops for each one you complete, and they're all very easy to do as well. Plus you can stand to get some great gear from some of them as well, and by completing the main storyline, you'll max out your Azos staff, which is essential for certain endgame content. While running through your main story missions, there's a few things to keep in mind to stay efficient. For starters, accept any side missions you see as you're running around, as you can hold a lot of them at once, so it saves running back for them later. I wouldn't say to go out of your way to complete these missions, unless they are very quick and easy ones, that aren't out of the way, because they don't reward as much XP as the main missions. But a lot of the time you'll find yourself heading to a location to complete the main story mission, and a couple of side missions could be in the same spot as well, so you can knock out multiple quests at once, just getting more free XP. The same goes for faction missions and town boards. Starting off with town boards, you'll find one of these things in each major town you visit. Always check these when you enter a new town, and just grab the easy ones to complete, like the ones that will have you search a few chests at a certain location, or the ones that want you to kill a specific number of a specific animal. These will get done passively over time, and even though the XP you get from it isn't crazy, it's just more free XP. And the territory standing level you'll get from this is very nice as well, because these will give you some really nice buffs moving forward. A quick side note on territory standing though, it may sound like it's a good idea to get the extra XP in certain territories perk for these level up rewards, but it's not. Always avoid these. That's because currently there's no way to reset these perks, so once you're at max level, this perk is essentially a waste. So pick better ones like bonus territory standing, until they implement a reset feature. Next up is faction missions. These will unlock as you approach level 20, and you'll be able to join any faction you want. There's 3 options, and I'm not going to tell you which one to pick, as it's all subjective. I just went with my favorite color. But you can see how to start each of these missions on the map. Just head on over to the color you like, and run through the introduction missions to join a faction. Once that's done, you'll open up for yourself faction missions, as well as the ability to PvP flag. Faction missions aren't crazy XP, but still, they're very worth doing, not just for the extra XP, but also to gain faction rep and tokens, which will become extremely useful at endgame for gearing up. I would use the same approach as town boards and side missions for this as well though, and just grabbing the easy PvE ones from each town you visit, and then they line up with your main story quest, knocking them off as well for extra bonus XP and rewards. If after a day of playing, I hadn't at least finished 3 of these faction missions though, I would go out of my way to do 3 in the highest zone I feel comfortable doing them in, as you'll get massive bonuses for the first 3 missions each day, which will really benefit your account, with bonus gold, XP, faction rep, and faction tokens. But like I mentioned before, you also gain the ability to PvP flag. If you're not great at PvP, I would say avoid doing this, because although you'll be gaining an additional 10% XP for everything you do, while flagged, if you're constantly getting killed by other players, it will just counteract that bonus. If you can PvP well enough though, or are very mobile, so good at escaping, I'd say go for it. It's just added benefits for little to no downsides. But that covers the missions I'd be grabbing to stay efficient. There's also a couple more things you want to look out for while you're out there leveling, which are more exploration based. For starters, there's tons of blue glowing journals all over Aeternum. If you see one, make sure to grab it, as it'll give you a nice chunk of XP for free. You don't have to read the lore if you don't want to, just open it and close it straight away. You'll easily be able to see if you've already collected said journal, so if you haven't already collected, just keep running past. The same goes for uncharted areas on the map. All over the map will be areas you've never been to before, and they're marked as question marks on the map. If you're running from one location to another, keep an eye out on the minimap, or open your world map every once in a while, and if one of these locations isn't too far out of the way, simply make a quick detour to grab it for free XP. I tend to go on exploration runs as well sometimes when I'm getting a bit jaded with leveling. Simply head on off in a direction you've never been before and explore. You'll chart tons of new locations for free XP. Just make sure to unlock some teleportation way shrines as well when you get far away, so when it comes time for you to quest in that zone, it'll be easy to return there. Following the same exploration theme, you've got your gathering skills. Along your journey you'll see tons of gatherable resources, and although it might seem like it'll slow down your questing, still go and grab everything you can. That's because gathering gives you XP as well, so you'll be leveling up and leveling your gathering skills at the same time, which is vital later on in the game. Plus all the resources you gather can be sold for gold, or used in refining and crafting skills to get even more XP out of. Also, keep an eye out for the unique items each gathering skill drops, as they can't be sold to other players, but if you use them at the corresponding crafting station to the gathering skill, you can not only get tons of XP for said skill, but you can also get overall XP as well for free. It's worth upgrading your gathering tools periodically, either by crafting new ones, or by buying them on the trading post for gold, as the speed bonuses you'll get from these better tools will significantly speed you up on your journey. If you're confused on Tradeskills in New World, I'll link a video in the top right and video description to a guide I made going over all of them and what they're used for. Speaking of speeding your grind times up, let's go over some tips that'll significantly speed things up for you. Starting with probably the most game-changing speed boost you'll get, which unlocks at level 25, and that's your mount. As soon as you get to this level, I highly recommend heading straight on over to the horseshoe quest on your map and getting the quest done to unlock your mount. From here, you can start leveling your riding skill to get your horse even faster, which will just increase your questing speeds by so much. If you don't want to do the races to level your riding skill, you can also feed it victuals a couple of times a day to level it up that way. If you're a bit confused with the mount and riding system in New World, I'll link a short video in the top right and video description that'll go over how to unlock your initial mount before eventually unlocking the higher tier animals like wolves and lions, and also how to level your riding skill. Another quick tip to go along with that is to always stay on roads when possible while questing, whether on your mount or not, as you'll gain significant speed boosts for being on a path. Also, using inns is a really effective way to save tons of time while questing. Essentially, whenever you enter a new town that you know you'll be questing in for a while, check in at the inn for an easy to use free fast travel back to said town, with a short 15-minute cooldown on it. Inns are very easy to find in every major town, and once you've checked in, simply hit the escape key and press recall to the inn, and be taken right back to the last inn you checked in at. This is great for when you're out finishing a quest, and to turn it in, you need to head back to the city. You can just easily teleport back, and this can save you so much time instead of running to a teleportation shrine to get you back. Also, don't be afraid to kill your character if you're really far away from a teleportation shrine, and your inn recall is on a cooldown, as there's minimal consequences to doing this, especially since you'll be upgrading your gear often at this point. You'll save a ton of time by doing so. The music skill can also be used to speed up your grinds, with the altogether now music buff. This buff gives you plus 10% XP whenever you're in a group, so simply join a group with any of your guildmates, or ask in world chat if anyone would just sit in a group with you, and no matter how far away you are from each other, you'll be getting free bonus XP. You do need to be level 25 in your music skill to play the music for this buff, but that doesn't take long to reach. Or, you can simply ask anyone in town who is that level already to play the song, and by tipping them 10 gold, you'll get the buff on your character, and can get to grinding. Weapons also play a massive part in speeding up your questing. Not just the weapon level and rarity, so it's important to improve your gear often, but the level you are with said weapon as well. The more you use a weapon in New World, the higher level you get with it, and you'll unlock perks that'll make you a lot stronger with said weapon. Now, to optimize leveling speeds with your weapons, there's a few ways you can go about this. If you want to be ultra efficient, I'd say grab some high damage, high mobility weapons to level with, like Fire Staff and Rapier, so you can get around quicker and therefore level faster. The higher your levels, with said weapons, the faster your kills will get, and you can use the mobility skills when you're not in combat as well to speed your travel speeds up. Or, simply go with what you plan on using at the endgame. If you know you're going to be a hatchet greatsword player, just level with those, and stick with them to make sure you get them maxed out as soon as possible, so you can kill things faster. By the time you max out your overall level, you will already have the skills to use the weapons you go with, since you've used them so much already, which is just an added bonus. The lower levels is a great time to play around with all the different weapons to find out which one really feels great for you, and then you can stick with the weapon you like the most and max it out. If you're struggling to level up your weapons, I'll link a guide in the top right and video description on how to level up your weapons very quickly. The only weapons I'd say to avoid during leveling would be the healer weapons. Even if your plan at endgame is to be a healer, I'd say level with other weapons, and then, when you hit max level, go and max out your healer weapons, simply to speed up the process, unless you have another person with you to level with. But if you keep on questing, and implementing all of these tips to the best of your abilities, you should knock out the main story quests in no time, and pretty much be max level. If you haven't hit max level yet though, and the main story quest is already finished, there's a few ways you can go about getting those last few levels in. For starters, the most basic is to just go to any zone you feel comfortable questing in and knock out side missions until you get it. The higher the zone level, the faster you'll level up. If you're going this route, I highly recommend going through Brimstone Sands. First, make sure the zone's main story quest is finished, and then go and finish off the Heart Rune side quest to unlock your Heart Rune ability. This is like an ultimate ability that you charge up and unleash to give you really unique benefits that could turn the tides of a battle in your favor in an instant. This not only gives you an extra ability that is really powerful, but it also makes combat so much more fun, and allows you to kill mobs faster. You might even want to go about this process before you hit max level, as it'll speed up your questing as well. I'd say be at least level 60 though before heading to Brimstone Sands. Or, you can go the crafting route, using crafting skills like cooking, or the refining skills to turn all of your resources you've gathered while leveling into higher tiered versions of them, giving you tons of extra XP as well in the process. You can even use your extra gold from the questing to buy more resources to convert, for more XP to get you to max level. This will get you those last few levels, plus level your trade skills as well, which will come in very handy at endgame. But don't feel pressured into being ultra efficient or to rush to endgame. If that's not your playstyle, that's fine too. There's no right way to play New World. You can rush it, or simply take your time and enjoy the process at your own pace. Whatever you get the most joy out of, that's the best way to play. New World even gives you bonus XP multipliers whenever you haven't been on for a certain period of time, which is great for those of us who can't play every day but don't want to fall too far behind. The story has been completely redone, and it's actually really interesting now, so I highly recommend actually doing a playthrough where you don't skip all of the dialogue. But I do also get the desire for new players to level up fast and rush to endgame, so maybe do one account this way, and another where you enjoy the story for what it is. Or, if you can't be bothered to make a new character to experience the story, I'll link in the top right and video description to my series, The Story of New World, which has me going through the whole story and cinematically narrating it for you all, so you can understand all of the lore without having to re-level another character. But that covers the fastest ways to max out your character in New World Aeternum. I hope some of these tips and tricks help out some of you newer players. Or, for you veterans out there, what are some good leveling tips you've learned over your New World careers? I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, or found it helpful, please consider giving the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps out massively. But until next time, have a good one. Thanks for watching another video. If you'd like to learn how to level your weapons up quickly, click on the video to the left. Or, if you'd like to learn how to unlock your mounts and level your riding skills, click on the video to the right. And a massive shout out to all the channel members and patrons who help support the channel, seen on screen now. Links on how to become a member in the video description below.